Hello, my name is Planetary and I am the creator of this little project here, Project BC. And in this video, a devlog mind you, I'll be showing you what I have actually gone through throughout my 12 days of making this project possible. From learning how to use Godot, learning how to program, and also yet using art skills with Asprite, and also yet designing a level with Trenchbroom, and what was the reason that inspired me to make this particular game. So, feel free to sit down, relax, grab yourself some popcorn and your carbonated drinks, and actually understand the journey that I have actually gone through to make Project BC. For me, looking back at the old classical first-person shooters, being an inspiration like Doom, Duke Nukem, Wolfenstein, Quake, and with the most recent one, Project Warlock, Iron Fury, Sentinel the Turtle, Age of Hell, Lycanthorn, Shrine, and many more, I actually adore the ideas and the graphics that they have actually put in the time and effort to make a good classical first-person shooters. With the 2D pixel art, weaponry, graphics, enemy AI, and the GUI, it makes me feel like I'm a kid again, playing those games on the old school Nintendo 64, and SNES, and also the PlayStation. It makes me feel like that, but knowing that they are here on the PC, looking at all those kind of graphics really stand out and actually is mind-blowing. So the inspiration of the idea came to mind that I actually wanted to make my own game, my own classical first-person shooter. So all I did is sat down, write out ideas, pen and paper, to actually see which one actually sticks. And the first thing that came to mind that actually stuck and wanted to become unique was actually the mechanic that I actually wanted to do for the game, was having the ability to switch characters on the fly but only using one character. Which actually was done very well with one of the previous game devs that actually have done a classical first-person shooter around that, which happens to be Scumhead, who actually made Lycanthorn 2, able to switch characters, which the characters became weapons, and that became a good idea, and I actually adore the idea ever more. That makes me want to do it. So say for instance, in this mechanic you have character A who has a revolver, a shotgun, a Bren, and a rocket launcher. You can actually tell that this guy is actually more of a tank and like to be up close and personal to take out more damage towards the enemy AIs. And then you have character B who has a M1911, an M1 Grand, a sniper rifle, and a grenade launcher. Which pretty much tells you that this guy is more chilled, relaxed, and like to take shots from a distance to keep the enemy away from them. But they will be sharing one health, and that's what's going to be happening. With all those ideas written out, and also yet with a theme set in mind, with it being a World War II, but with a sudden twist of this supernatural, it all comes down to figure out what engine I want to use. And learning from my previous engine days, I've actually looked over all three of them. With Unity, I've actually dabbled in it, but I had a little bit of trouble programming with C#, and also yet with a third-party visual script, Bolt. Due to the fact that I have actually got a prototype working beforehand, it didn't hit the right note of actually having the switch characters on the fly with one player. Had the ability to switch all three characters, but it didn't feel right. It didn't feel like it was very easy. And with Unity and the poor visual scripting, I decided to skip on by and give Unreal a try. With Unreal as well, having the visual scripting, it was actually very powerful, a little bit too powerful for me to be honest. And I actually had some trouble with visual scripting. Some of them were a little bit spaghetti coding or spaghetti scripting. And I decided to move that away because I feel like it was a little bit too much for me to bear, and there was a lot of tutorials, but not the tutorials that I was after. But don't get me wrong, those two engines are very powerful for the right users, but not for me. Which leads me to Godot. Godot was actually the go-to engine that I saw and actually slipped underneath the radar a couple of times until I have seen it popped up on a couple of game dev videos talking about Godot. And I actually looked it up and actually thought, yeah, alright, we'll give Godot a try. We'll actually do it. We'll actually plan out the idea, we'll write it out, and we'll actually put it up there and get a prototype up and running. But there was one problem though. That's one thing. But due to the fact that I don't have Explode, yes, the scripting. Like I said before, I'm not much of a scripter, but with Godot having its unique feature of scripting, with it being GD script, it actually looks kind of easy. It's not that difficult, it didn't look hard, but looking at the right tutorials and actually understanding the coding, it became a little bit easy, if a little bit hard at some point. Yeah, I'm not kidding, sometimes the coding was a little bit difficult, and sometimes I have end up ramming my head against the wall a couple of times, and yeah, it was not fun at all. But looking at Godot and actually understanding the engine, taking on some tutorials to actually make cool mechanics to move the character with the WASD and moving the camera with the mouse, I managed to actually come up with a very good walking mechanic. Able to move the characters with ease and able to actually walk around the whole entire map with ease. And it was actually quite fun to do that as well. But learning that Godot has asset libraries as well, it also leads me with some particular asset libraries that actually help me out, but also one particular program that actually helped me out to make maps. See, with Godot, there was an amount of asset libraries that could help people out to make something that they actually want. And one of them was actually a Quake modification for Godot being Qodot. That's Qodot. An asset library that allows you to actually make map and fully build it in Godot. With a little bit of help with the program that I had to actually look up was Trenchbroom. Trenchbroom is also a Quake mapping programming, allows you to make maps with ease, and there is some difficult curves to actually learn how to make these kind of maps, but I decided to keep it simple for now because I just wanted to make a map that allows the player to walk around with ease and not have to worry about the difficulties just yet. So that's what I did. I had to learn from the ground up how to use Trenchbroom, but also learn from the ground up of how to use Godot, and it was actually quite a fun task, to be honest. And with it having a working walking mechanic and also moving camera around as well, and also a functional map to walk around and explore, it actually became a bit of a walk of the park. And also looking at tutorials like Luke RS, who was a very good tutorial to actually look at, learning how to make a Doom clone, I actually managed to get some of the things working as much as possible. But there were some things that I decided to leave behind for a bit because there were some things that I actually wanted to draw myself. Due to the fact that some people actually use inspiration or using rough designs of weapons and arts to actually put it into Godot, I actually made my own weapons from the ground up by using Asprite. Yes, using Asprite to make my own 2D weapons, but also my enemy AI as well. See, I had more trouble with doing art because I'm not much of the artist, but I decided to pull up my big boy pants and actually say, alright, let's actually learn how to do some art. And it came down to learning how to trace weapons, using images to actually as reference, and actually tracing them out to make it as my own design. And also coloring in and making it as different as possible. And when it came to enemy AI, I did the exact same thing. But instead of using images from the internet, I decided to use myself as a canvas to actually trace out and make my own enemies, which was actually quite a fun task and actually was quite enjoyable to do. Though a little bit weird at some point knowing that I'm shooting myself. But it was actually quite fun, going through different animation styles, making them different with a walking animation, a firing animation, a death and heavy death animation depending on how much damage it takes. It actually feels kind of good that I'm actually taking my time to actually learn, and it actually became more fun But the problem was, when it came to putting the enemy AI, was actually the scripting of the enemy AI. Yes, looking back at it now, I remember that I was using 3.5.1, which one of the nodes, which was the navigation and also the scripting, one of them was actually outdated. So I decided to actually grab myself Godot 3.4.5 to actually find the code that I was actually looking for and actually put it into good use, which was actually looking for the node of get navigation path get something. I can't remember, but I might throw it up on. I might as well throw it up on screen so you guys can see. Is less than path size var direction equals path index minus global transform dot origin. If direction dot length is less than 1, path index plus 1. That one, that code. Yes, that's the one. Yes, that was the one that was outdated from the most recent Godot, and was a little bit difficult to actually try and do it with the new coding navigation server, which I didn't actually understand at some point, but I think from here on out I might as well look at the manual and look at it more carefully to actually understand it. But for now, I'm going to be using 3.4.5 to actually use some of the old codes and actually put it together for now. But I think somewhere in the future, I might need to update myself and learn the coding a little bit more better. But with that being said, with all the coding being done and dusted, I managed to get a prototype to work just fine, with the ability to raycast and actually shoot enemies with ease, and also yet shooting rocket propelled grenades to our enemies. But there was one teeny tiny little bitty problem that I actually came across, and luckily my good friend Drew actually caught onto it before I did.
Yeah, it's aiming for my feet. It's not the feet you should be aiming for, it should be me.
The collision. Oh good god, the collision. The collision was actually one of the difficult things to actually figure out, but it was one of the simplest things to look at and fix, because if you have not realized, when you look at the prototype and look at my stream, you can actually see the raycast was actually aiming down at the point of origin, where the point of origin is at the bottom of my player's foot. And for some reason, when the raycast actually goes down, it hits the world. So I decided to go through, look for anything that can actually fix it up, but when I look at the capsule for my player, I decided to increase the size. And when I increased the size and decided to have another go, it was a capsule collision, which was the problem. Who'd have thought that a capsule collision like that can have some problem? But with that being said and done, a prototype is now up and running and ready to be played on itch.io if you guys wanted to give it a shot. But I will be also working on this game throughout throughout the end of this year to make sure that the game actually works pretty fine. But probably, who knows, I might continue it on next year as well to make a fully functional game as well. So who knows? I might be continuing on and having a little bit of fun making Project BC, adding new features like a backdrop GUI or a actual border GUI to actually keep the text from blending in from the game, updating the graphics and texture, maybe updating the map as well, and also yet updating the game mechanics to have more features to it and have a little bit more fun, like picking up ammos, picking up keys. And that was the idea for Project BC, is to pick up keys and actually look for ways to open doors. And that was the idea for the game, for that particular level, Dolphin Island. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, more will be added to the game, so you can have a little bit of fun and try it out along the way. Especially with the revolver, the M1 Garand or the Owen submachine gun, the sniper rifle, and the grenade launcher. What fun it will be! But yes, alas, thank you for watching the very first devlog. It actually was quite a quite a journey, to be honest, and looking back at it now, it actually kind of feels awesome looking back at the work that I've did. And I'm actually more happy to actually continue on and actually brainstorm some more ideas to make it more better. So, if you want to see more of the journey, you can actually feel free to follow me on Twitch, so you can actually see the streams and also get the dev stream that I'm actually going to be doing throughout the end of the year, and also yet have fun talking with me, and also yet seeing me ramming my head against the wall out of frustration, metaphorically speaking. But feel free to subscribe to the channel as well, so you can actually keep up to date of more of the devlogs, so you can see what more has been added and what I've actually been working on throughout the Project BC, and also yet what will be new to it as well. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to say thank you for sticking around, and thank you for watching the very first devlog of Project BC. Until next time, hopefully I'll see you guys next time for another journey of Project BC and the devlog. Until then, this is Planetary signing out, and I'll see you guys next time. Ta-ta!